So it seems like the Ravens knew what was going to happen all along with Justin Tucker as the NFL rendered their verdict on him today. It took a bit, but the free agent now has to wonder if he's ever going to be able to play in the NFL again. Then, in one of the wildest stories I've seen in quite some time, a man that just got arrested for protesting during the Super Bowl 59 halftime show has a insane connection to Antonio Brown, the former NFL wideout who's currently wanted for attempted murder. In fact, this guy was there that night. Basically, it's all getting crazy. And in today's video, I'll break this down, talk about the Bucs shoring up their future, and more right after. All right, first up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are committing to their current regime for the next few years. Adam Schefter reported early this morning that the Bucs have extended both head coach Todd Bowles and GM Jason Light to multi-year extensions. Light is heading into his 12th season as the Bucs GM, which actually makes him the 5th longest tenured GM in the NFL. He's the man responsible for helping build the Super Bowl roster in 2020, though it does help when Tom Brady wants to sign with you, but he does deserve all the credit in the world for how he's managed to keep them a perennial playoff team after Brady finally retired following the 2022 season. Bowles deserves a lot of credit too. He took over for Bruce Arians in 2022, and he's led the team to 3 straight division titles, although for what it's worth, the NFC South has been pretty weak, to say the least, over the last few years. The Bucs won the division, for example, with an 8-9 record in 2022, which is kind of wild. They then went 9-8 the next year and won it again. In this past season, they actually did get to 10 wins. So it may not always be pretty, but this team has made the playoffs 5 years in a row now, which is the first time they've ever done that in franchise history. Perhaps the biggest reason for their post-Brady success is how they've struck gold with Baker Mayfield. I'm pretty high on that guy. I think he's QB 10 in the NFL right now. They signed him to an affordable 1-year deal in 2023, and as we all know, Baker took that opportunity and ran with it, finishing with a career high in both yards and touchdowns while leading the Bucs to a wild card win over the Eagles in his first season there. That earned him a well-deserved 3-year, $100 million deal, and he proceeded to play even better the next year in 2024. 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and even a career high in rushing yards. They fell short to the Commanders in the wild card round, losing on a game-winning field goal, but after seeing how Washington destroyed the Lions in Detroit, I don't think there's any shame for the Bucs in losing to that team. They prioritized retaining some of their key pieces in free agency this offseason, like Chris Godwin, like that one, guard Ben Bredesen, and the vet Levante David on a 1-year deal. Their one splash signing when they went and got a free agent that played elsewhere last year was a pretty low-risk one. They gave edge rusher Hassan Reddick a 1-year, $14 million deal to help bolster that pass rush. As far as the draft, they went receiver in round 1 with Emeka Egbuka, which you could say is a bit surprising because they have Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan heading into year 2, who was a 3rd-round pick for them last year. But Mike Evans is not getting any younger. He's going to be 32 this season, and even though he's topped 1,000 yards every year of his career, the odds of him continuing to do that are getting slimmer and slimmer. It's clear that they want to set Baker up for success, and they've done that as he's going to have plenty of weapons at his disposal this upcoming season. Next up, the Cleveland Browns released a bit of a surprising player today in edge rusher Ogbo Stats. They brought him in on a 3-year, $19 million deal after he had a career season the year before with the Texans. So he was on the last year of his 3-year deal, though he didn't exactly have the most production in the world through his first 2 years in Cleveland, combining for just 7.5 sacks in 30 games. So while it does free up $3.3 million in cap space, he still leaves behind $2 million in 2025 and almost $5 million in 2026. Okoronkwo was at the very least a solid depth piece, but with him gone, Cleveland seems high enough on their line to move on and save a little money, even if it is a bit confusing to some. They, of course, have Myles Garrett, the staple on that line, but outside of the monster himself, nobody else on this team registered more than 2.5 sacks last year. They've got defensive end Alex Wright coming back from a season-ending triceps injury he suffered early last year, though, but the most sacks he's had in a season is 5, and now he's coming back from injury. They signed Tyron-Shoyinka in free agency on a 1-year deal, but through his 4 years in the NFL, he's amassed only 15 sacks himself. So I guess we shall see how that line looks this season sans Okoronkwo, and it seems like that front office is happy enough with it at least. Next up, the NFL has made their decision on the future of Justin Tucker, at least for this season. I'll get to that in a second, but the Ravens released Tucker back in May after he was facing allegations of inappropriate behavior by 16 massage therapists in the Baltimore area, with the alleged incidents all occurring from 2012 to 2016. Since the day the allegations became public, Tucker and his agent have denied them, calling them completely false. The writing was on the wall for him, though, when the Ravens drafted kicker Tyler Loop in the 6th round back in April. We kind of figured his release was eventually coming just a couple weeks after the draft. It did. They tried to play it off, though, as a football decision, which frankly did hold some ground considering he was technically coming off his worst season in the NFL, finishing 32nd in field goal percentage. Quite the fall off for the man some consider the best kicker in the history of the game, and at one point was the most accurate kicker in NFL history. But not everybody believed it was merely a football decision, at least not the full reason as to why they released him. After all, the NFL was running their own investigation into the matter, and with the information they had, they may have known that a suspension was coming and decided to part ways. Whether they knew it was coming or not, it seems like they made the right decision because today it was announced that Justin Tucker will be suspended for the first 10 games of the 2025 NFL season for violating the league's personal conduct policy. In a statement put out by the NFL, they say he'll be suspended without pay if he does sign with the team for the first 10 weeks of the season. It'll take effect on a roster cutdown day, August 26th, and then he'll be eligible for reinstatement on Tuesday, November 11th. It's also worth noting that he can serve his suspension as a free agent, so in theory, if he remained unsigned for most of the season but then signed with another team on November 11th or after, he wouldn't have to miss any games at all. He's also free to sign with any team whenever he wants, though. Get this, he could even sign right now, attend training camp, and play in preseason games, just no regular season games until week 11. Following the news of his suspension, Tucker's agent released a statement in his own in which he said they are disappointed with the NFL's decision. Tucker's always strived to carry himself in a way that would make his family and community proud, and he stands by his previous statements of innocence. But in order to put this difficult episode behind him and get back on the field as soon as possible, quote, "We have advised Justin to accept this resolution and close this matter." Some are a bit surprised that Tucker and his team didn't try to appeal this at all if you're going to maintain the stance of innocence. But hey, if you're just like, that's going to drag it on and we want to be able to return to the football field as soon as possible, just accept it and move on. Either way, maybe we'll never truly know. It's a crazy situation. And judging by that statement, it sounds like Tucker also has hopes of playing in the NFL again. So who knows? Maybe a kicker-needy team after his return from that suspension could be desperate enough to bring him in if they have a kicker injured and or still in playoff contention, but that signing would obviously come with a social media storm and some headaches via the local media themselves. I can't rule it out completely, even if it seems unlikely right now. Either way, Tucker's punishment is pretty similar to that of QB Deshaun Watson's 11-game suspension and $5 million fine from the league back in 2022. Just a one-game difference, and all we can do from here is see what happens as time goes on. What do you think about this? Do you think a team takes a chance on Tucker before his suspension kicks in to start the regular season? If not, what about after? Could a team actually be needy enough and still be in playoff contention to take a chance on him, even with the media circus that could follow? Or are you of the opinion that the NFL career of Justin Tucker is over? Let me know either way in the comments down below. Next up, a lot of you already know by now that Antonio Brown has a warrant out for his arrest for attempted murder for something that happened after a celebrity boxing event a little while ago. He has a warrant out, and Antonio Brown is still tweeting he's on the run. I covered that in detail in a video last week or immediately after it happened. But here's where it gets really crazy, because ESPN released an article today that said Super Bowl 59 performer arrested by LA, Louisiana State Police for halftime protest. So if you guys remember, during Super Bowl 59, the halftime performance by Kendrick Lamar, there was a man holding up a Sudanese flag that said Sudan and Free Gaza. Okay, well, his name was Zulkarnain Kwame Nantambo. I probably butchered that really bad, but this is the same guy that Antonio Brown allegedly shot at. How does this even happen? The same guy? So initially, Nantambo wasn't going to face any charges, but Louisiana State Police announced that he will be facing charges on Thursday. The NFL commended the police for this, by the way, just saying they take any attempt to disrupt any part of an NFL game, including the halftime show, very seriously, and are pleased this individual will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. They also banned him from being able to ever attend an NFL game again in the future. But again, this is the craziest part. In a separate case, Nantambo is listed as the victim of a May 17th shooting outside a celebrity boxing event in Miami. I don't have a big conclusion to this. I just think it's insane that Antonio Brown is on the run from police right now because he has a warrant out for his arrest for attempted murder, and it was for shooting at this guy who actually was the protester during the halftime show. You guys gotta let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. That is a wild small world kind of a thing. You think Antonio Brown is going to turn himself in? I don't really care about that guy, but he is tweeting all over the place, still making jokes and all of that. Meanwhile, this guy's been arrested, Nan Tambu, for the protest. You guys got to let me know your thoughts on this crazy situation down below, and I will update you on anything that comes from this in the future. And with that, I'll see y'all next time.